and his father's uncle. He said that they were out to kill him. His father's uncle was Peter DeFeo, capital regime in the Genovese crime family. But also during the interview, he asserted he was married at the time of the murders to a woman named Geraldine Gates, with whom he lived with in New Jersey, and that his mother asked him to return to Amityville to break up a fight between Dawn and their father. Subsequently, he drove to Amityville with Geraldine's brother, Geraldine being his wife, Richard Ramondo, who was with him at the time of the murders, and could verify his story completely. But it turns out Geraldine didn't have a brother. He just made him out to have an alibi. In 1990, he filed a 440 motion proceeding to have his conviction vacated. In support of his motion, DeFeo asserted that Dawn and an unknown assailant fled the house before he could get a good look at him, killed their parents, and Dawn subsequently killed the siblings. He said the only person he killed was Dawn, and that was by accident as they struggled over the rifle. Again, he asserted he was married to Geraldine and that was with her brother at the time of the murders. An affidavit from Richard Ramondo was submitted to the court, and it was asserted that he could not be located to testify in person. And an affidavit from Richard Ramondo was submitted, and evidence was submitted to the county district attorney's office suggesting that Richard Ramondo did not exist and that Geraldine Gates was living in upstate New York, married to someone else at the time of the murders. She didn't testify to this hearing because authorities had already confronted her about her false claims, and in 1992 secured a statement under oath where she admitted her brother was fictitious and that she did not actually marry DeFeo until 1989 in anticipation of the filing of the 440 motion. Of course, the motion was denied by Judge Stark, all because of the testimony of the defendant overall was false and fabricated. Like I said, he made up the brother just to have an alibi for the killings. His testimony during the fall of 1974, he was married and lived with his wife and child in Long Branch, New Jersey, is incredible and not worthy of belief. That was from Judge Stark on why that's just a brief summary of what Judge Stark did on why Judge Stark denied the motion. And a few years later, 10 years later, on November 30th, 1930, DeFeo met with Rick Osuna, the author of The Night the DeFeos Died, which was published in 2002. According to Osuna, they spoke for about 6 hours. However, in a letter to a radio show host, Lou Gentile, DeFeo denied giving Rick Osuna information that could be used in his blog, claiming that he immediately left the interview and did not speak to Osuna about anything substantive. According to Osuna, DeFeo claimed that he had committed the murders with his sister Dawn and two friends, Augie Deganero and Bobby Kelsky, out of desperation because his parents had plotted to kill him. Allegedly, DeFeo claimed that after the furious row with his father, he and his sister planned to kill their parents, and that Don murdered the children in order to eliminate them as witnesses. He also said that he was enraged on discovering his sister's actions, knocked her unconscious and onto her bed, and shot her in the head. Police found traces of unburned gunpowder on Dawn's nightgown, which DeFeo alleges proves she discharged the firearm. At the trial, the ballistics expert Alfred Della Pena testified that the unburned gunpowder is discharged through a muzzle of a weapon, indicating that she was in proximity of the muzzle of the weapon when it discharged, and not that she fired the weapon. He reiterated on a documentary about the Amityville house that he extensively discussed in Will Savvy's mentally ill in Amityville. Savvy had an expert evaluate Della Pena's assessment, and that the expert confirmed that he was correct. Moreover, the medical examiner found nothing to indicate that Dawn had been in a struggle. The bullet wound was the only fresh mark on her body. Now that the backstory of what the case was about and what led to DeFeo to be who he was. He died on March 12th, 2021. The cause of death was unknown. But to talk about why he did it or what led him to do it, he was on drugs and was a heavy drinker. Like I say, he took LSD and meth. That combined with his his disorder, the antisocial personality disorder, that with his heroin and LSD could have led him to kill his parents. But he also claimed that he was possessed to do it, that something in the house, because apparently the house was haunted, and told him to do it, to get rid of them, because the spirits in the house or apparent demons in the house didn't like it, didn't like the family. They wanted to get rid of the family. And apparently Ron DeFeo, with his LSD use, meth use, and alcoholism, along with his personality disorder, made him susceptible to whatever supernatural forces were at stake or at play. And apparently he saw this female figure leaning towards him, behind him, and she was the one that led to him shooting his family. Whether or not that really happened, I don't know. Like I said, his personality disorder played into it. My personal belief is, yeah, he did it. Like, the evidence is all there that he actually killed his family. He knew what was going on. He knew what he did was wrong. It's just that he was crazy enough to do it. and the fact that he went about his day as usual is a clear sign that he was definitely unstable. Yes, his upbringing wasn't that great, so that, along with his personality disorder and his drug use and alcoholism, all that finally came to a head, and he finally snapped to kill his family. Now, if you want to listen to more stories on, or more true crime cases about the paranormal and the supernatural, and how the paranormal and supernatural tie into each case, you can listen to my podcast, Skeptical Believers, on where you find or listen to your podcast. I have been your host, Jason Newman. Thank you for listening.